Hey guys, no bullshit. I'm just going to dive right into a little analysis of this thing I've been working on. Today I'm going to highlight it's an Albert Ayler melody from his song Bells, and I'm combining it with the Confederate anthem, some Southern music. And this big piece, it kind of builds, it's slightly contrapuntal, and it's largely one chord. Of course, there's chords changes, but it's one tonality, and it kind of develops and it kind of gains a certain momentum, and it eventually kind of has this climax that reminds me of a certain climax in Beethoven's Third Eroica. You hear in the first movement of that, you hear a really cool kind of climax, descends back down, just pops right back into a theme. And I highlight this because it shows what you can kind of get done without being too harmonically crazy. Or very simple. This is very riff driven. The riff kind of permeates the whole thing. Let's look at it. I'm obviously using the MIDI piano for the purposes of just being able to compose and hear it. It's obviously not going to sound like this in real life, but it helps you to hear what you need to hear. I'm just going to play the whole thing through before I dive into it too crazy. All right, so pretty epic build-up, kind of driving, it's more motivic than melodic, really. And to start here, you could see right here we have the main riff from Albert Ayler's Bells. And, we kind of change it up the second time around. You'll see some extra notes. But that riff drives this entire piece, really. You'll see right here, this upper kind of structure right here. This is Dixieland. That's the quote-unquote Confederate anthem just coming in over the riff. And you see on the riff, you'll notice I have these big block chords ending the riff. I just take what the melody was there and I emphasize that rhythmically by having these huge block chords. You can obviously see voice leading in these chords and a rhythm in the chords too. Let's keep going. You see this build up? This is kind of sequential, and I'm not gonna say I'm anti-sequential. A lot of the times when I kind of cringe when I hear sequence, so I have to like justify it. But I feel like this sequence really comes into the next part, and you'll see it kind of does a little flurry and gets right back into the next momentous part. And you'll see we already got some counterpoint going. And a lot of this, you'll notice, is mainly one chord. Like, let's see what this is. We got B, G, G, B. Yeah, like, this is kind of like a lot of this is just a big fucking G. Excuse my French. It's a big G major chord. All this, I know the chords probably change a little bit in here, but I just consider this G. This is just G right here. And kind of flurry, you kind of rise up, bring it right back down, and drop right into this low chord, which is again a G chord. And you'll notice, let's see, the chord has more notes, but then the individual voices, that's like 3 voices there: bass note, middle voice, quote unquote melody, if you want to call it that. And that's like the B section of Ayler's bells. You'll notice these green little chords up here. They kind of emphasize the rhythm going into there, because you'll see it's before the bar and then it hits the bar in a downward melodic trajectory. And I want you to notice, underlying this, there's kind of a call and response thing going on. Like, see where it gets kind of busy in the voice there, and then right over here, that's kind of a call and response. Up here, that is the Ode to Joy melody. And that's those emphasizing high chords again, as you see right here. Well, not necessarily chords, those are octaves, obviously. But those octaves that emphasize it, they go right into this Ode to Joy melody. So we have 3 melodies going on. We have bells, we have Dixieland, and we have the Ode to Joy. And it all comes across very, very simply. Call and response. And now here we build into a new section. It's out of bells, and this is what I call, what it's going to build into is kind of like Eroica combined with Dixieland. If you hear certain rises and climaxes in Eroica's first movement, this is really what is going on here. Because you'll see this descends into the Dixieland melody. That's what that is. And obviously we got voice leading going on, very strong. You'll see it's very linear, it moves. I do a lot of stepwise things. Of course I have leaps, but that comes from the riff. But you'll notice everything I do, unless it's like a deliberate riff or melody, kind of is very stepwise in nature. Now that part, I absolutely love that part. It's like my favorite part of this whole thing. So we build it up, and you'll notice down below we have "The Truth Is Marching On." They call that the Union National Anthem. I have that as a bass line for the quote-unquote Confederate anthem, Dixieland. That keeps building up higher than it does traditionally. You see we hit this huge A minor 7 chord that just sounds amazing. It's like, because we iterate this Dixieland melody, you see we have it there, but you see that same shape, there, you see it there, you keep seeing it repeated, and it's not like staggered. A lot of people stagger things contrapuntally, but this is just straight, that same motive building up to that big A minor 7. Let's hear that again. And you know, we really emphasize G. Really emphasize G on the high notes, because that's not necessarily even melodic. You'll see these underlying voices obviously are doing their own things. This right here, that's part of Dixieland. Toward the end of the melody, it does this like downward kind of arpeggiating thing. And you'll see there's certain, it's also again here, but then you'll see the voice kind of starts descending. You get to a big, that's literally just a scale drop right here. Like that's probably G on down to G, like the entire scale. And that's kind of a cliche you'll hear a lot. But like I said, we're emphasizing back to home. Like that's just, everything's G. And we build into a new section again, building momentum. Let's go. You know, lots of space here. Let's go da-da-da, da-da-da. That's what this is going to be built on, but we're obviously going to build more counterpoint on this basis of da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Same note. Ode to Joy. All right, but yeah, let's go back here. Because it's like, you'll see there's little, all this, that's Ode to Joy, but we're still playing off the rhythm of da-da-da, da-da-da. We have some embellishment up here. It's a little off time, because see how on the beat, we don't hit that chord tone. We don't hit the chord tone till like, you see on the beat it hits that A, and then it goes to the chord tone, the B. Which is a cool little effect too, because it staggers the different voices. You'll notice the Dixieland kind of arc again. That you'll see that everywhere in here. It's like, I don't even have to point out, you'll see it everywhere. And again, we go up right here, same little embellishment. We jump to the higher chord tone. And like this, again, this is Dixieland, the descending kind of arpeggiation. But except I wrote these as little dyads here. Then we build. A lot of this on the top, you know, it's like repeating, it's kind of building an idea. Same idea over and over and over and over. Over that bells riff, notice the bells riff is still right here. Albert Ayler's bells. And as we're doing this, in this red, I have this big bass line. It might not even be in key. I think one note is like chromatic, but it's like big bass line out of nowhere to kind of give its own melody down here. And you're like, all right, so much is happening here. Obviously, on the top, Dixieland melody. It's kind of happening down here. You can see it in so many different places. And we got this kind of big melodic wave coming up as this bass line accelerates too. The Ayler riff, it keeps on going, but we kind of have that same trajectory mirrored upwards into this, which goes back into right here is... This is the Union anthem, except and rhythmically, this is rhythmically the Union anthem, but we're going upwards. We're building with it because normally that melody goes downward before it goes up. It's just going straight upward right here. But by here, we're finally getting into some weird chords. Like all this is because obviously we hit G right there, okay? But then these two, that's kind of like an A tonality. And Logic is telling me this is a C sharp diminished. Like, where the hell does that come from? This is the notes of a G chord, except we have a D sharp instead of a D. So we start to get, you notice, we'll start to get a little chromatic, and that's what honestly builds the momentum. When the rhythm, when the motives run out, it's like harmonically, then you could keep building from here. Notice cut out voices, that's a big thing. When we get here, when we build, we cut out voices. And you'll notice this is, I don't want to say it's like actually like developing counterpoint in a way, but it's like each voice kind of repeats a certain pattern, has its own kind of thing. This one looks like it's kind of moving sequentially, the red line. This one right here looks like it's somewhat sequential, not exactly. You'll notice there's kind of different arcs here, but they're similar enough. And right here we have these same kind of dyads, but when we go up here, they're different direction. So you'll see there's certain symmetries going on, but there's certain asymmetries, and that's what's so unique to the brain. And that's where we're about to quit today. But like, look right here. This is straight from Dixieland. It has like a little arpeggio kind of riff going down. This is not arpeggiation, obviously, because you see it's all stepwise, but that mirrors Dixieland, while you'll see it stepwise in that it will fit the chords perfectly. And again, don't be afraid to use these little dissonances right here. Like, these notes are right on top of each other. But that helps to build tension. If you use your ear and voice leading to figure that out, and you'll see again, there's hints of the union melody. This right here is, it might be hard to like look in there and see it, but that's again Dixieland building right up into it. And then we have more, but we're not going to do that today. So the main thing here is like you can build from a very simple premise, and you don't have to even be that harmonically complicated. You don't have to be that contrapuntally complicated, but you can build into that by using voice leading as well as your inner ear to hear what the other voices want to do. I don't even necessarily want to call that counterpoint, because it's like the ideas are kind of developing until the next big thing of momentum. It's not just like continuous flow of these voices. So overall, don't be afraid to even use somebody else's idea as a basis for yours, because it's, of course, you could probably hear Albert Ayler's bells and that, but at the same time, like, I just made that original. No, and the biggest part about writing this, of course, it's not the most emotional, especially when things are like in one chord mainly. You know, it's the G chord, like most of this damn thing. So it's not going to be the most harmonically emotional thing ever, but at the same time, you can make something like this if you're willing to use your ear to hear what like needs to come next, because sometimes you'll have an agenda of kind of what needs to come next. But if you listen for the thing, and especially if you're working with other material already, like I'm just plugging in melody. I'm plugging in the Dixieland melody, see if that works. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to use it. Plugging into the Ode to Joy melody, see if that works. If it doesn't work, don't do it. And it's actually cool limiting myself to just a few motives that I can use to keep iterating and building on top of. But that said, you'll notice inner voices, see these two inner voices, they tend to kind of fill in themselves. Like if you have the bass voice, you have the highest voice, you have that riff right there. This inner voice, you just use your ear, that fills in itself. All these inner voices, you know, it's like, I know it's just going to be a riff. I know this is just going to be kind of the same harmony iteration of what's up top. Middle voice does something simple. See, this is stepwise. These red voices in the middle, all that is virtually stepwise. Truly, piece of cake, really. And I'm trying to get better at just making more content in general, so be on the lookout for a blog, my band's music. I actually have a t-shirt soon, not trying to sell you on a t-shirt, but it's a pretty cool t-shirt. I'm gonna wear it in one of my next videos. But overall, if there's anything you'd like me to help you with, it's like, hey, I'm a new YouTube channel, so it's like I actually have time. If you wanna ask me a direct question, I could probably make a video on it. You know, I'm a new YouTube channel. I could actually answer your compositional question in somewhat of depth and detail if you would like that. So appreciate it. Let's go.